Okay.
Is it recording?
Can you... Ow!
You're hurt by the wicker.
Give me that.
Yeah, you heard me.
You tell me how it feels, huh?
That does kind of hurt.
I know. Anyways, welcome to a very aggressive episode of the F Movie Podcast. We're your hosts, Mason, Dylan, Nathan, Jill, and Annabeth, in that order. And on today's episode, we're talking about... Oh, this is my movie. Pinocchio. Yeah. You think...
This was a hard bet. I didn't know. I wouldn't have known whose it was.
Yeah, I mean, if I just said Pinocchio at a glance, that could be almost any person's on here. And
you just got up to walk away.
Yeah,
Nathan's like,
Look
whatever,
how
I'm
beige that case is on
I know.
the inside
It's
of
beige.
it.
My
dad did smoke when I was little.
Yeah.
There's a little bit
Close
of that,
look, there's
probably.
little brown bits just on the movie case.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Mm.
So anyways...
There's some chocolate milk drink around that, probably. At
Yeah.
some
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
That's what
Don't
it
you
is?
have a little
Oh,
Jiminy
no.
Cricket somewhere?
Jiminy Cricket laid some
Yeah.
eggs on that
I
thing.
feel like you... No.
Yeah, like we're on a time schedule here.
You
I can't
should
go
have
and
set
grab
up
everything.
the set. Okay, anyway.
What's
I've also
interesting-
got like a little number one conscience.
You should have won your
too.
conscience badge.
That'd be a good
Why
one.
you of all people would have a conscience badge?
I've got the best conscience.
It's true. He's got
I'm a
the
moral
best.
North Star.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I
he's the most
mean,
morally
you do
correct.
have the most crickets, but I don't know.
Also
if that
true,
means that
yeah,
you have the best
the man of many
Inside
consciousnesses.
of a house or outside of a house? I could beg to differ.
Definitely inside.
So I will say, before I get into the summary, because nobody's ever watched Pinocchio that's watching this video, is that it's really interesting on the back of the VHS. These are not these aren't like shots from the movie. These are like
those are like
colored in
redraws. Yeah.
And how dare they make Monstro not seem as fucking terrifying
Yeah,
as he
Monstro
actually
looks
is.
different
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Monstro is way more like he is drawn almost differently from everything else in a way as to make him more unnerving.
Yeah,
he looks pretty
It's
bad
like
there.
Yeah. It's like he's moving at a different frame rate.
I
than
know.
The rest of the movie.
Yeah, he works in a different way. But anyways, for those who don't know the plot of Pinocchio, Geppetto, an old Italian man, presumably.
I feel like this is German.
They're dressed
It
German.
feels very German.
It feels Eastern European / Germanish. All right, so
The summary says Italy.
Really?
does it really? I believe you, because
Not that
Geppetto,
one.
Yeah, the name.
Geppetto, Pinocchio, these are all very strong Italian
That's
names.
wild. I guess maybe like up in the Italian Alps.
Maybe.
That's what
So,
I would guess.
in- In effectively Italy, if it's not, but definitely is, we have a old man puppeteer who's feeling very lonely with his pet cat and his pet fish, and he makes a little...
His little water baby.
Yeah.
His little water
baby. And he makes this little puppet boy, and he made some Pinocchio, and then on a wishful night, or a star, the north one,
Literally the night that he finishes the puppet.
yeah, he wishes upon the star that, hey, I'd like for this Pinocchio boy to be a real boy. And then Blue Fairy comes out, makes him kind of a real boy. He's on trial. He's got like a 30-day trial period.
He's on a probationary thing.
Yeah, he's kind of got to feel out what being a real boy is, and then, that's when the hijinks ensue part kind of kicks in. Not as much murder as I feel like it could have, but not zero.
Yeah,
So
but there was more than one.
more than one. So originally why I picked this movie was because this movie's horrific and very scary.
Yeah.
And I think if people thought I was kidding whenever I was saying that. I'm like, no, I want to hammer home. Pleasure Island is one of the most disturbing things I've maybe ever seen. And that still holds
You
today.
mean Neverland.
Also,
I
those
don't know
boys are
about
never
that.
saved. Like,
Never!
they don't-
Right.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
some-
Those
the
kids
implications
are
of most of this
turned
movie
into
are
dogs.
really pretty
They don't
fucked.
stop the evil in the world.
No.
Like, no evildoers are really actually put out by the events of this movie.
No, the story's
No.
fully about just Pinocchio. Everything else bad just keeps happening.
Well, but I mean, they're chewing on a lot of things throughout
Yeah.
the story. They didn't have time to save those children in this story.
No, they were like, we
Well,
can't resolve
If you
it.
want to talk about time,
The first story.
they could have had time if they didn't spend forever hanging out in the shop at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
Because, oh my god.
It takes 30 minutes before we start
Yeah.
Pinocchioing
You
or something.
spend like a full TV episode hanging out in the shop for no
By the
good
time he
reason.
sets off
Yeah.
for school,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then it starts happening.
It's it's literally 29 to 32 minutes into the movie by the time he's going to school, which is when the story actually
when
gonna
it
start.
actually
Yeah.
starts to be a story.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But you get to see all those cool clocks.
I mean, the clocks are cool. I will say something that Europe does better than us, those fucking clocks.
Clocks.
Yeah.
You say that till you have one going off all
Yeah.
hours of the night.
Every
Yeah.
single hour.
Woohoo! And then they were all Jiminy.
Luckily,
Shut
you
the
can-
fuck
This
up.
is a secret.
Yeah.
You can program them,
Mhm.
luckily, at least modern ones. My mom's got like this Alice in Wonderland one that does all kinds of things.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
That's totally worth
That
like
is neat,
$100
though.
or $200.
It's worth a sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. No, so, but, like, really, though, I gave a summary of the film, but, like, a really brief but still accurate summary is Puppet Boy gets trafficked into several things, actually. He gets trafficked into the circus, escapes the circus, only to get re-trafficked back into Pleasure Island, whatever that is. The implications are disturbing.
Yeah.
Basically into a donkey
Half donkey for
production
him's
factory.
case. Yeah.
Yeah.
How that's I don't every time I watch this movie, I don't know if I'm blacking out. Do they explain how the donkification process?
My
Well,
questions exactly.
the
Yeah.
guy that
They act like
kidnaps-
enough of an ass that they become one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what the guy that kidnapped. Well, he doesn't kidnap them.
donkey.
He doesn't really
but
kidnap them. He takes them on
there,
vacation.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I don't know if y'all noticed this. He had 3 fingers.
I did
Like
notice
as
that.
an
Yeah.
animated character, he was a
The-
3-fingered character, but a lot of the other
The
characters
fox,
in this
right?
movie
Uh-huh.
have
Honest
a
John?
full
Yeah.
number of.
Yeah.
Oh no, not like I'm talking about the
The human.
the human guy who's
with
yelling
red
at the
hat.
donkeys and ripping them. Yeah.
Oh.
He
The
also
blonde
had
guy.
3 fingers.
He also
The
had-
guy who kind of looks like Price with 50 more pounds and about
You know,
30
I
more
would've
years.
Oh, 100 more
wonder-
pounds. He had a big old trench coat.
I wonder
like
if,
red.
if I were to pay attention to it, if like all the
Criminal.
good or human people had all their fingers.
Huh.
Because it looks like in this still here, Pinocchio's only got 3 fingers while he's not a real boy.
Right.
Whenever you see his hand
Geppetto's
as a
1,
real
2,
boy,
3,
he's
4.
got
No, I
right.
forgot all his fingers.
No,
right?
Pinocchio's
Pinocchio?
he's a 3-in-1.
Oh.
He's this.
He might have more when he becomes a real boy.
Maybe.
Man, animated hands are weird.
Yeah.
They just gotta add some. I mean, I'm terrible at drawing hands or anything.
Hands are hard.
Hands
But,
are hard.
like,
Yeah.
Hands are hard, but you know how
Yeah,
many
just ask
fingers to
AI.
put on them. Generally.
Ooh, I don't know.
How many fingers?
Right. Why are you looking at the fingers? Look at the nude body, and it's just like 17 fingers on either end.
And everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
The wiener dog.
Don't talk
Oh.
about
Wiggling in the background.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, fucking Pinocchio gets trafficked twice over, gets half donkified, and then also
And the whole time, he has his conscience, who
He was
is
doing a terrible job.
Jiminy is so bad
awful.
at his
Like
job.
Jiminy shows up just trying to slip on into the shop, warm up, just kind of like freeload a little bit,
Then he got
and then
charmed.
he's just given
Mhm.
a job of like, hey, you're gonna be a conscience, and he's like, oh great, I'm gonna be good at this.
Yeah,
His
you're hot.
first-
I'll do
His
it.
first
Yeah.
little like
Blue Fairy could get it. Though.
spiel to Pinocchio, he can't even like formulate a proper sentence on like how to actually be a good person. He's just like, yeah, it's just like, just be good and stay away from bad people. Yeah, that makes
There's
sense,
gonna be
right?
temptations in the
Right.
world. That's about the only thing he
Yeah.
ever told
Maybe
us.
Which-
if you want to analyze it, it just means it's hard to tell right from wrong.
When-
To,
To children or just
yeah,
in
I'd
general?
say-
like to
Right.
explain it to children.
Yeah, to
He's just
explain
bad at
why
his
things
job.
are right.
No,
why
I think
things
it's
are
bad.
wrong.
If we're using the like let's skip loosely over but still accurately describing the movie. This homeless cricket pops on into the house and becomes this.
And he was given
New
one
boys.
job, and he didn't even really try much at all.
He always shows up halfway through.
He sleeps in the first day.
Yeah.
He doesn't at really any point ever convince Pinocchio to do anything that he wasn't already going to do until it was very obvious
Until it was
that things had
critical.
gone bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Pinocchio goes off and doesn't listen to him. He's like, oh, well, I guess I can't. He doesn't listen to me. I guess I'm done now.
Yeah, he truly a salaried man. You know what I mean? Like,
for someone who like doesn't really know, like you said, for those of you who don't know the
Right.
summer of like
Yeah.
I had no idea
yeah.
he was supposed to have gone through all these trials.
Uh-huh.
I thought Pinocchio, his main shtick was lying.
And that's a very small part of the
And
movie.
it
I know.
lasts
It
this
happens
long.
one time.
It
I-
happens one time.
I mean,
What the hell?
Yeah, I've seen
Are
this
there-
movie, but I definitely
I always
remember more
forget how
nose
small
Yeah.
happening.
That's his thing.
And I also thought, this is just me having like fake memories of Pinocchio. I
Uh-huh.
thought there was something that was going to happen where like he had to get himself out of trouble and he used his nose
thought it was
and
gonna be a
lied
prop.
on purpose.
Yeah.
I thought it was
to
gonna be
do-
a thing, like
I
a
could've
superpower.
sworn
It's
that
in every
happened.
other iteration of Pinocchio.
Right.
I don't watch a lot of Pinocchio movies,
No, but
so I don't
Pinocchio's
know
like
where I-
referenced in a lot of
Yeah.
Yeah. The pop culture
Also, I
fiction.
think that happens in Shrek, doesn't it?
Does that
Yeah.
happen in Shrek? I was thinking
I'm
of
sure
Shrek.
it happens in Jiminy Cricket's in the Puss in
and
Boots.
Yeah, the Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
Morally,
You're
morally.
You're awful.
Morally
That's
sound
my
cricket.
favorite Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah.
Jiminy,
That one was better than this one.
The funny thing is, I think most of these characters are better in other forms of media. Like, there's
Yeah.
definitely better Pinocchios. There's better, Geppettos.
Hey,
and
there's not a better
Pinocchios.
Monstro.
No,
Yeah.
you know what? Critter Prince.
Monstro's pretty
Pretty top tier.
impressive.
Yeah.
Terrifying in this
Like,
film.
there's a lot of giant killer whales in movies. Well, not a lot, but there's enough to where there's like
Yeah.
a canon for it. That's probably one of the most vicious. Like that one's out and out evil.
Yeah.
Like he is.
And he
an
had a whole
evil
ship
whale.
inside him. I
Yeah.
mean, he was a serious whale.
He's a big boy, yeah. But so I mean, a lot of the lead up to it. Again, there's not so much meat on the bones to talk about necessarily the plot because obviously it's just him getting trafficked left and right, and then also going home. Finally gets rescued the second time, and
He goes home and his
Geppetto had written him a letter
gone.
somehow from inside Monstro because the implication is, oh, I'm inside of Monstro at the bottom of the ocean. How the fuck does he write that
Does he
letter?
really?
if he's-
I thought he just said that he was like abroad, like looking.
No, he
No,
said
it
such
said
and
he's
such sea.
inside.
he
Yeah.
said I am inside
The
of
whale.
Monstro at the bottom of the ocean, which is why he
Yeah.
knows
Don't give
directly
me more
to go
ammunition
in.
for this.
Bro, I know.
Yeah,
There's,
I
there's
swear to
also
God.
a talking fox and a talking cat. Well, actually, not.
In
a talking
Disney,
cat.
though, we bat an eye at that. We're just like, oh, the fox is so
Yeah,
devious and
that's
and handsome and charming or whatever. I don't know what women find.
Really? Because I found that very jarring.
Yeah.
like right away they're like, oh, he's gonna be so teased as a wooden boy. Like, are you
Right.
sure it's a? And then there's a fox with like a little apprentice fox.
Right.
Being basically just.
I think the other one was a cat.
It was
Yeah,
a cat.
I don't know.
Which
Yeah.
does
So
the
it's a
weird,
cat.
goofy Pluto thing of like one of them's like a humanish
'Cause
cat,
there's
one of them's
Figaro,
a cat.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the cat that's the friend.
What are the rules, Disney?
Yeah, what are the rules?
Also, really quick, remembering that this movie is from 1940 on the dot. Man, some of the racial caricatures that come through this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Chef's
You
kiss.
mean
They
like
really
the,
deserve that
the
one.
puppeteer.
The
The,
pirate.
the puppeteer, yeah, the guy that's
Okay,
the
it's just
entertainment show
Stromboli.
guy.
It's kind of
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
Stromboli.
Yeah, Stromboli
Yeah.
is pretty kind of not PC, you know?
Yeah.
I like his like joking. Right? You're gonna go home? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, into the cage.
Cage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what about when Geppetto gets out of bed with just a gun?
Yeah.
Yes.
That part was good. Though.
That was really funny.
This movie is actually really ripe with like tiny little fun scenes, and I will say this: it comes back to like the old school Disney really has a charm to its art.
Mhm.
But I will say this of like the Disney films and like my highlight of collection, you know, all the classics. The music in this one's so fucking bad, like relative to like.
Really? It was the first one to really actually win its own Oscar.
Was
Yeah.
it really?
What was
For
its competition, Jill?
I don't know. But
Yeah.
like the because there's Snow White, which won a fake Oscar,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then there was this movie, and
Yeah.
it won a real Oscar for the Star song.
Yeah, I mean, it is the Disney song.
They used it for
Yeah.
years.
I
as
did
their
not know that
Right,
it
it was
came
a
from
trademark
this
song.
one.
propaganda.
Yeah, it's in like everything. They
It's
love
what
that
Disney
song.
Cruise Lines uses as their air horn
Right.
whenever they
Really?
set sail.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
When you wish upon
Disney
a star.
loves
That's
that song.
amazing. Yeah,
It
it's
is
the
neat.
Disney song.
Yeah, up until like the 2000s, where they're
Yeah,
using it
it
in front of
kinda
every
stopped.
movie with like the little Disney,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
right. So okay, other than the one song,
Yeah,
the
other than
rest
that.
of the rest of the songs on this movie are bad. For the first 30 minutes, I'm with Nathan, where I'm just like, can you start Pinocchioing already?
I
Can
can't
you?
remember a single song in this movie besides that one.
Yeah,
A
well,
lot of it is just like acoustic accompaniment to movement.
Yeah.
Like it's that.
It's more
Scooby-Doo-
upbeat
Kind of like
score than
Rescuers
anything.
Yeah,
was
kinda.
to me, where it's just like
Yeah.
you could really see like one of them, maybe two of
Mhm.
them tops if you were
Well,
paying
it's
attention.
it's the thing where it's like you have a live band composing the like sound of the movement of the characters.
Right, like they're jamming
The
to
orchestral
making like a
sort of,
live
yeah.
score, but it's not so much like, oh, these are Disney songs that stand out in a way,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
still
Like,
would really like to see a modern hand-drawn movie that uses orchestra as its main sound effect.
yeah,
That
I
would
would,
be
I
cool.
would just want to watch that at like the Schermerhorn or something, like the symphony orchestra, and do the live one on that one. That sounds fun. But yeah, no. So, anyways, like I always rewatching this movie, I remember thinking like the first half lulls you, and then by like the second half of the film, it's progressively hitting this darker tone. and not necessarily in always in tone. I mean, Pleasure Island definitely feels like the peak creepiest tone.
Yeah.
But then Monstro, as somebody who can't swim and has a deep fear of the sea, Monstro is so fucking scary. Like, by the time Pinocchio's just like, sure, I'll hop on down to the water. Thank God we can just breathe. Don't ask. All right, don't ask.
He's
Don't
made
ask.
of wood.
Stop. Yeah,
Pinocchio
I mean,
makes
he's
sense.
Yeah,
made
he
of
is.
wood. Jiminy, on the other hand. Yeah.
Crickets
Yeah.
do not.
Crickets.
Crickets very famously do not do well with any amount of water
Right.
at all. They
Nathan-
can drown themselves in the smallest of puddles.
I believe
They don't seem to have a concept of water.
Yeah.
So
They're
they
like-
obviously
lost.
don't run into it very much.
We're built to not run into it. When it rains, they probably just suicide themselves left and right into the verse. But yeah, so they go into the ocean and they're asking all these fish, "Hey, have you guys seen Monstro?" And they're like, "We're fucking out."
Oh, and that scene took way too long.
That did. It's like 3 scenes of them searching for Monstro.
Well, and him just saying "Father" so obnoxiously, like
Yeah.
Through the
loud.
water, like
Right.
the
Yeah,
rippling
through
water
that,
noise.
Yeah, that reverberating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what made it so much more frustrating to listen to.
Yeah, I did remember thinking that although the movie is pretty like scary and dark for its second half of like what's actually happening, despite the fact that it's putting on this whimsical Disney tone in front of you, it like Pinocchio feels like he deserves it 95% of the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like he's a shit kid.
Well, I
Like,
mean,
they don't
he was
sell
just
it well enough,
literally
the fact that
born
there's no
yesterday.
idea.
He was
Yeah.
born yesterday and they kicked him off immediately
Yes.
with no supervision.
Correct. All right. So I will agree that the circumstances explain much of Pinocchio, but that doesn't make it much more fun watching Pinocchio be a shit kid the entire time, though. You know.
My thing is too, like the father, Geppetto, whatever his
Geppetto,
name is, he
yeah.
within minutes really of him becoming a real boy, or a trial boy, he's like, oh
Yeah,
no,
that's
you
right.
got to get your ass to school, go, and then he of course gets lost. He's like, I have to find my son.
Yeah.
No offense.
Maybe you should have walked him to school.
Right.
Well, or just just try to make another one.
Geppetto. You're like, listen.
Like he didn't have that much invested in this kid. Like I know he took a while to paint him,
I mean,
and
he made the wish.
He made the
did,
wish, man.
but like
Yeah.
things happen.
How many other wishes are you getting in this movie?
Probably none,
Bro,
but
he's
Especially
retired.
I'm not
just
going to
watch
the
it
bottom of the
first.
sea.
Yeah.
I'm not following this whale and getting swallowed
Well,
up by this
that
whale.
that was very stupid on
Yeah.
his part.
The whole
Why would
everything
he
was
think
dumb.
that? Why would he think that Pinocchio is somewhere where he had to go across the sea in a boat?
He's
Have
like,
you heard about Pleasure Island?
Pleasure Island? Just more questions about Pleasure Island.
I
Is it-
don't like every time Pleasure Island is said. I'm like, why?
Why did they do
Why
that?
in this movie is it Pleasure
It's the
Island?
implication.
Well, and then they also ended up naming part of downtown Disney Pleasure Island
Mhm.
back in the day.
What?
And it was
Yeah,
like
I'm
all
sure that
those-
got cut.
Yeah.
No, it was all nightclubs. It was made
Yeah.
all nightclubs.
Oh,
But was
wow.
it themed?
Did you have to be
Yeah,
furry?
did you
No,
have
they-
like the tobacco?
It was
barn or
not
whatever?
made to look like
No.
Were
Yeah.
there just donkeys hanging around?
Yeah,
Right.
so many dogs.
To be fair, if you had
The most
nightclubs that I
unsexual
could,
thing ever.
yeah, if you had nightclubs where I could go in and I could fucking smash whatever I wanted to
Yeah.
and do this, I was
Get in fights.
I mean, they could probably do Pleasure Island now and just have
Vandalism.
one of those break rooms. What are they?
Yeah.
what? Oh, the destruction rooms.
Destruction
right?
rooms?
No,
Yeah.
see, if you say Pleasure Island now, we all think Epstein.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
you can't.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on past that, the donkey part's horrific and scary. That part still disturbs me every time I watch it.
I don't know. I didn't really see it that weird.
No.
I don't think
Horrifying?
Pleasure Island is that weird.
I-
The shadow
Nathan's
like,
monsters
I wanna
are kind
go.
of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I
There's
would
a
go
bunch
to
of little
Pleasure
kids
Island.
who
Sure.
are crying for their parents and they're just getting shipped off to a salt mine.
Yeah.
That's
Sucks
not
to be
like
them.
sad to
The-
you.
The shitty ginger kid crying for his mom right before he
It
fully
reminded
transformed.
me of like the Island of Misfit Toys, and I'm a huge fan of like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You know, you have like,
That doesn't surprise me about you,
Oh, I
actually.
love it.
You know?
which then you get this thing next to it, and you're like, "Man, it didn't have to be like this.
Yeah.
It's like it's weird.
And there's clearly some sort of time magic implication here. They
Oh,
want
yeah.
the like if the kids are there for too long, then they all kind of turn at varying rates.
They're going to. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Pinocchio
Yeah.
pieces out, but still
Because
has
you're also
the ears
like
and the
you're
tail.
surrounded by the jackassery.
Yeah.
So it's like you're going to eventually conform and do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to a bachelor party. I get it. You know, like
Did you turn into a donkey before the morning?
You probably came close, didn't you?
I probably, you know, definitely on all fours, being ridden around from time to time. Like that was I'm sure something that happened. But moral of the story, like, yeah, I think like where we get into like the final thoughts. Blue Fairy a little too forgiving as like Disney Christ or whatever the hell she
Ouch.
is. Like,
I mean, that was on her.
yeah, she was
You
just
know,
like
she took a chance on this random.
she gave him one.
figure.
She gave him one more too.
She-
She said, "All right, homie."
She clearly made a big mistake also by having Jiminy be his conscience.
Yeah.
Well, all she did was
yeah,
bat
she
her
was
eyes
like,
at
"Oh,
her.
hey, you want to be a conscience?"
She's
sure.
like, "You're a homeless bug. You're a retired guy who."
It was his outfit. He was looking dapper.
He was dapper after
Yeah.
the
Stay
boot,
in the
though.
job, but she just didn't care about her last
Oh
assignment.
yeah, she
Yeah.
was about to retire.
She's retiring out, so fairy
One more
godmothers can
job.
start taking over,
Yeah.
right? She was just like, "Yeah, I'm the last of like the blue fairies. All the rest are godmothers now." So
Was that a whole
Fuck
thing
that.
too?
no,
Oh.
but that's that's our headcanon if you
Sure.
can't pay attention to Disney movies.
Yeah, thank you.
We don't see a bunch of fairies outside of like Tinkerbell afterwards, right?
Oh, that's who you should have had.
Who
in
very
there.
clearly is retired and not doing the job anymore because she hangs out with the fucking kids all day long, does no wishes whatsoever.
Yeah,
So-
really. What's she doing?
Well, for doing
No,
Final
she's
Thoughts,
just being jealous about Peter Pan the whole
I do
time.
That's
just want to
true.
say one scene that I did really like in
Uh-huh.
the when he's like doing the puppet show and doing the I got no strings.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just like the whole like
It's charming.
yeah he's got no strings, he's got no guidance in his life, and then he just immediately face plants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how your life is going.
And then his
Yeah.
nose is poking through. No, I think that scene. You're right. I'm glad you brought that up because that scene is actually like a really good, like, oh, this is a scene that tells the whole movie
Mhm.
effectively.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But also the black haired dancing puppets. Those girls can do it. Peak puppets.
I mean, Jiminy thought the same.
Jiminy was with me. He was just like, shit, he ain't wrong, like.
Jiminy and some of the figurines he liked too.
Yeah, well, he had that one
there were so many
wagon
butts in
carrying
this movie.
one.
Did anyone notice all the butts?
Yeah,
There's
They're
quite a
really
few.
like
I usually
butts.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was a thick booty. You know what?
This was a
Pinocchio's
movie.
maker knew what he liked, alright?
Yeah.
He is an ass man through and through. Which is so strange because Blue Fairy, not really, like,
She was like formal though. She was
yeah,
very.
she
you know,
was. But she could have been a little thicker.
I think she
you know?
she could have been caked up.
Yeah, she could have been caked. I mean, Monstro's so caked out, though. He's
Man,
a thick
Monstro
boy.
took enough cake for everybody.
That's true.
That dude was
They
thick.
couldn't fit him on the screen all in one go.
They never do. Every
Yeah.
time he's on it, they have
That
to,
would have
like,
made him look small if they did.
That's true.
You know, that would have made him look less massive.
Yeah, just Monstro as like kind of just like a end villain, so to speak, on this one. Just neat, man.
I mean, Monstro, I feel like is maybe supposed to represent just like the callousness of like nature.
Yeah.
Like
Mother
a lot of
Nature.
the problems he runs into can be like dealt with in some way or like reasoned with because it's like societal things.
Mm-hmm.
But Monstro is just raw, uncaring nature.
Yeah.
That,
Like,
I mean,
why
for
is he
someone-
doing it?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter why he's doing it.
You shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
You came out onto the sea, that's Monstro Sea, brother. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you play it against nature and it will eat you.
I mean, it might have also like tried to hinder kids from going out to the water unsupervised.
Monstro,
Honestly.
yeah, Monstro kind of seems like the thing you would tell a kid to
Yeah,
keep
it's
them out
the
of like the
Kraken
deep end.
in
You're
a
like,
way, yeah.
oh yeah, the big sea fish monsters
Yeah.
will eat you, and they're gonna.
So
be
what
like,
you're saying is it's good to have little kids watch this.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else think it was really dark? They just kind of have a shot on his dead body for a fairly long.
I didn't think he was dead.
Well, he was.
Pinocchio.
Oh, when he was like
straight up
face
dead.
down in the
Yeah.
water.
Like,
Yeah.
he's canon
Yeah.
dead in that moment.
Yeah, he is.
He just breathed underwater for like I don't know
That is
4
so
hours.
He
true.
remembered that he couldn't do that, and then it all caught up to him for about
like,
5
that's
minutes.
the
Being in
thing.
the next scene, they say he's dead, and before that, there's just a shot of him face down in the water where he's
Yeah.
supposed to be dead. Like that's just a kid.
Listen, fairy magic only can get you
I
so
mean,
far. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't level it.
Ask less questions.
It's wood.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was a little
It's-
funny just because of how jarring it was. That
It was
he's just
funny,
like face
Yeah.
But
down.
also, like, I
I'm
feel
just
like
like,
it's kind of dark to just
I
show a
mean,
dead body. To,
yeah.
that
Really
is a
quick,
child.
He did.
After the movie too, like I did read the synopsis just to like try to
Mhm.
make sure I didn't miss anything because I was like with you with
There's
the whole
questions.
the donkey
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
along the way because I was like,
Mhm.
when was that even said? They were just popping ears out and
Yeah.
tails, but it did say in that sequence that like Pinocchio sacrificed himself to save Geppetto after like the shipwreck was happening, and I was sitting there, I was like. He didn't say. I mean, he came up with the smoke idea,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't think it was very clear that he saved Geppetto.
I mean, he saved him. I wouldn't say
I
he
mean, his
sacrificed himself.
He probably
idea
That's what the
float-
website had
but,
He
said.
like,
floated on
I think-
Pinocchio to get
I don't
into
think
the.
it's fair to say he sacrificed himself because
No.
there would have to have been some intentionality to it. There is no
Yeah.
moment where you see
But-
him like choosing to sacrifice himself.
But that's what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
one of his trials for like becoming a real boy was to like be
Be
selfless.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and the whole thing I'm just like he didn't do any. He came up with the smoke idea.
I don't think it was selfless either for him to have helped Geppetto escape. I think that was still like in his interest, if you want.
Yeah.
Because he was also escaping.
He wanted out just as bad.
I
He's
thought
like-
it was like the brave trial, and the selfless was some other part of the movie.
I
Maybe.
mean,
Yeah, I mean, you could make an argument that the
When was
selfless,
he ever selfless?
yeah.
the selfless part doesn't happen. Pinocchio's
pretty selfish.
He's
The,
pretty
the
selfish.
fairy just was like, fine.
I'll fucking give
Yeah,
it to
the
him.
fairy's like, it's gonna be easier if I just
These
make
guys
a
who had a
real
3
boy.
pass.
This no child left behind policy won't let me fail him, so he gets a D, but it's good enough.
But
You
it's a
know?
pass. Passing
Probably
D.
more just
Yeah.
like, it turns out an animated wooden puppet is way more of a problem than
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
turning into a real boy out of the
I'm just
gate.
gonna create a real boy.
Yeah.
Let God take the wheel.
I mean, in all that kind of tracks, Geppetto is very retired. I mean, he's old,
Yeah.
and they just gave him a kid for the first time, presumably. He doesn't look like he's ever had children, really.
Wow.
So, it kind of explains why he's a bad dad, too. So, I think the movie is one of those things where the more you pay attention to him, the more you're just like, what?
It's not that he's a bad dad. He's literally had like minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Same with Pinocchio. He's not a bad kid. He
Oh.
just was born yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's fair.
I'm
That's
more
like
with
saying a new dad
Pinocchio.
is
Blue
bad.
Fairy's
dad.
at fault for not telling either of them how to do any of it.
Yeah,
That's
really, it's the Blue Fairy's fault. All of this is her
Yeah.
fault.
Mhm.
So she's the villain.
She should have taught.
Not Honest John
She's
and the
the
child
prettiest
peddlers.
peddlers.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, we should probably get into
Yeah,
Fat Thing
let's
real
let's
fast.
let's get in because we're on the time before this this chip runs out of memory.
Yep.
Start us up.
Way too fat. This movie was everywhere. This movie was choosing to go down paths it had no business going down. It could have been concise and anything. I mean, the beginning was very repetitive. I liked the clocks. Somebody had mentioned that,
Mm-hmm.
but every time it was like, okay, that's probably the last clock, and then it would be another clock. Okay, that's sure they've already shown 4. No, here's 5, 6, and 7, and then the underwater was way too long. I mean, there was quite a few parts that could have been really dialed back, and it was over. What was it? Right at 2 hours?
Hour and a half.
Okay, it wasn't that
Yeah.
long.
No, it wasn't that long. So, but it felt that long.
So if it felt like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yes, it felt lengthy.
They couldn't
but yeah.
put Dunes on VHS at the time, you
Yeah.
know? Like, there would have been 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's they went down a lot of different areas.
It's like a 2
Yeah.
VHS.
Oh, yeah, it was a chunker.
It was Titanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the movie's fat. Like, the movie doesn't start kicking off 30 minutes into the movie, and it's an hour and a half movie, so that in itself already kind of says everything about it. There's little parts I snip it here and there, but I think once we're in the part where he's with the puppeteer circus part or whatever, I think the pacing kind of figures itself out. Like, it feels like I'm not, like, oh, fuck, are we doing things yet? We're finally doing things, and then we kind of keep doing things. So yeah, but for the first chunk of it, though, it's hard to say a third of the movie. That could be easily a 10-minute intro, or even a little bit less. Yeah, it's chunky.
And everybody's gonna say the same thing.
Yeah. But is it
It takes
monstro
too long to
big?
get off the ground. The underwater section is too long, mostly because the voice effect on Pinocchio is super obnoxious.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
It's like grating on your ears. Doesn't help if you have a headache while you're watching it.
Mhm.
It definitely makes that worse.
I agree, it's fat, both because the beginning part, way too long, and also the 2 times he's taken advantage of by the fox could have been one. You could have
Yeah.
steamrolled into like one storyline.
It could have been
as
him
opposed
one
to-
time, and then the human trafficker the second time.
Yeah,
I think they had too many villains too. Like they
They did have a lot of
They had a lot of people that you were really
but you
supposed to
gotta
be like,
know
man,
the
they're.
world's bad place, Mason.
Yeah.
I get
Italy,
that.
everybody's a villain waiting to
Yeah.
traffic you. That's what this
Dang.
movie's actual
Wow.
message
It's
is.
crazy.
I also think it was fat. I liked the beginning part. I could have just kept watching clocks and
I'm with you.
Jiminy
Mhm.
Cricket go. Cricket culture, it turns out, is very similar to mouse culture.
That's
There's
Yeah.
one thing I
Cricket
like.
culture, it's little green man culture.
Yeah.
He's a cricket,
With a belly button.
and he
Yeah.
and he's
The
in a little
implications.
can, and he's
Yeah.
using it for his bed,
Little
and he's curled up
matchbox.
on a clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this appealed to the mouse culture in me.
Quick off the heels of the Rescuers review.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I just love that. And it reminded me of the part in The Great Mouse Detective where he's in the toy maker's shop too,
Yeah.
and there's like all these things, and there. Yeah. So love that. But yeah, the underwater way too long. It's fat.
Yeah. I forget about some of the parts in the beginning I did, like the little Geppetto's like swapping around in the cups and him doing the whole little puppet making thing to begin with as well.
Also
was
the
very-
cat. Any scene that the cat was in,
Cat was cute.
yeah, The cat was my favorite character.
Could have offed him early.
Well, he comes back when he's smacking the shit out of those fish, though.
Yeah.
I know.
Hitting the barrel. Yeah.
He was also a kitten like the whole
He was
time.
I
a
know.
great kitten. Love this kitten.
Let's leap right in the score, starting with Annabeth.
Oh gosh. Okay, I need to know what I gave the other movies because.
No.
No,
That is true. You can't. Yeah.
I feel like it's fair
See,
to know what you gave the rest.
It sure helps if,
I know.
if your scores have certain metrics and guidelines where you know that
They
movies should
don't.
typically
Yeah,
land.
but you should have like an instinctual
Yeah.
scoring
Oh,
Like that
system.
internal
Internal,
consistency.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to.
Gosh. Do you remember what we gave the Rescuers? Because this has got to be worse.
I'm pretty sure I gave the Rescuers a 7, right?
You gave it a 7.5, if I recall.
Okay.
correctly.
Did I give it a 7?
So I think it was.
Oh,
7.
you gave it like an 8.
Yeah, I think.
No,
gave
you
it
were
a
high
9.5.
on it. You gave it an 8.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm. No.
Mouse culture carried you up.
Mouse
so.
culture, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this one a 6 though. My favorite part
She doesn't
was
even know
like the not plot part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could have spent more time with Jiminy Cricket and that cat and the clocks. That's it. I'm giving it a 6.
Hmm.
Probably go 6.5.
Working our way
Because
up the
like
Yeah,
I
we're
don't
getting
know,
there.
I liked the no strings, but I liked the idea of the story. I feel like it could have been done a little bit better, but the animation was great.
Okay, did anyone else think of Age of Ultron when you
100%.
heard the no string suck?
Yeah.
That's just ruined it.
There's the dark, creepy tone on the
Yes.
trailer, and then it completely gets chucked out the window whenever it's the actual movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
you know what? It's a great song to make dark.
Yeah.
That's like
It
a,
It's a great song. to make
That's a
dark.
great song to make dark. Nathan.
It's like a 6.
Damn. It's really I was gonna get 6.5.
You know, it's got a couple of interesting villains. I like the shadow monsters.
Yeah.
I feel like I should rewatch Dumbo because I kind of
The
put
new
this
one?
in Dumbo.
The
and
DeVito
Similar
one?
Company.
Dumbo's so bad.
Yeah.
I do not like Dumbo.
Yeah.
I feel like this is. I've always thought of
They're in the
Pinocchio
same
and
tier.
Dumbo as like similar. They're yeah.
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 Dumbo's the reason I never do drugs.
That's fair.
I thought it was Dare.
Yeah. Dare
I've
had
still
a
got my
negative
Dare
rate.
shirt from elementary school.
oh,
It
shit.
fits.
Yeah.
And it's.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mason.
I hated this movie.
No.
I genuinely don't like this movie, and I would like to. I'm kind of with Annabeth here. I'd like to see all of the animated movies that I've given, and I'm pretty sure this is probably the worst one.
Whoa, Fritz the
Wow.
cat exists.
Ooh.
It's not
Yeah,
the
how
worst.
does this compare to
It
Fritz
does.
the
It's not
Cat?
worse than Fritz, and you know it isn't.
That's a good point. It's probably about
I mean,
the
Fritz
same.
was interesting.
Fritz,
You gotta
Fritz, you didn't
admit.
know what was gonna happen.
for the
You knew it was
worst.
And
gonna
honestly,
be, you knew it was
You
gonna
didn't
be
know what was
sexual.
gonna
I
happen
didn't know.
in this one.
Did you know
Yeah.
this pumpet kid was gonna get
No.
trafficked
The
twice?
donkey? No, I didn't know anything was gonna happen. I just
Into a
figured his
whale?
nose was gonna keep happening. I don't. I
Just the once.
So if
Actually.
you haven't seen it, did you think the donkey scene was dark? Was it? Would it have terrified you as a kid?
That's okay. So that's the other side. You're saying, "Oh, I'd love to see Dumbo again." Like, I don't have some of those like nostalgic
Yeah.
things. Like holding me on to something. So it's like watching this as a 32-year-old. I'm just like, why is he getting into this much stuff? Like, why is this world so vast and dark and weird? Like Beauty and the Beast. I try to compare it to something.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast is whimsical and fun and kind of sort of dark in its own way, but I feel like it holds it together inside of this mansion. Sure, things are dancing
Yes.
around and having fun, and it's in the next village over. Where is this taking place? All this stuff.
Italy, apparently.
Italy. Yeah.
It's,
The Italian
but it's
Alps.
everywhere. It's
I
like
don't
up
know,
in the
have you ever
clouds.
been
It's
to
down in
Italy?
the,
It's
the
just
sea.
like that.
This is going all over the place, and I'd give it a 4.5.
Hey,
I
Mason.
really don't like it.
Really quick, what's going on in Italy around 1940?
Yeah.
Just quick context.
Well,
Maybe there's cultural beats we're missing here, guys.
maybe, but dang.
Yeah, just
No, and you can't tell me this. Walt Disney wasn't on it.
Oh yeah,
He was on something terrible.
He was coked out. You don't.
This is a good example of what was probably accessible back then.
Yeah, you're not. I mean, listen. I think that Monstro is symbolic of probably
Monstro was probably the coolest thing in this
of
movie.
Mussolini, probably at the time. You
I
know.
don't. Maybe.
I mean, 40s.
Wales were just cool back. Like it was just-
Wales were cooler back then.
Whales were just cool back
Yeah,
then.
I mean Ahab and the whole gang, man. So. Anyways,
They put a little bit of that in the Page Master.
it's true. They do that. Yeah, 6.5 is right. This is actually a little under average for like most animated movies, especially a Disney animated movie that's a
Oh,
classic
yeah.
in its run with it. I have some affection for this film because I kind of enjoy the spookiness of it all and the Cuphead nature of it, and this is Cuphead retroactively looking at the art and looking at its charm and fun.
Man, I don't know if this is quite. I think I would like to see more of that
actual
of that era.
So
art style.
and that's another
I
thing.
wouldn't say this is quite that to me.
The Netflix one, I do remember being really good, and that was the only
Yeah.
Pinocchio
Is
that I've
the
ever
Del-
watched.
Del Toro one?
Yes.
Yeah, but Del Toro makes it a lot
The other
more.
one's on
To your
Disney
point,
Plus.
he creates more of a charming he makes people more charming, and then I'm sure he has all the war elements into it as well.
He does. He
that-
goes to war. Pinocchio's in the war.
in the
Pinocchio
war.
goes to war.
Yeah,
And- yeah,
he's like
and
a soldier,
Guillermo's-
and he can't die, or he dies like
Yeah,
three
he dies
times.
times like 2 or 3 times, right?
Wow.
I'm telling you, and
Okay.
it's like that was the first rendition I'd ever seen of it.
Yeah.
Or first thing I'd
Oh,
ever
so
seen
you
of it.
had seen a Pinocchio movie?
He had
Yeah,
seen
but
Del
Annabeth,
Toro's
this was
Pinocchio,
not-
but not
like,
Pinocchio.
I can't express enough how
Well,
How
just
maybe because it
baffled.
probably was Del Toro's based on like the book. That's not.
I'm not
Disney.
sure. I'm
Right.
sure the book was only this big though,
Sure.
correct?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
it's gotta
quite
be.
certain that's the case. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that's just my quick takes on that on Pinocchio. It's scary. It's kind of spooky. It was October, so it made sense to kind of like creeping into this
Yeah.
one.
Spooky season.
It's spooky season or Christmas by the time you watch this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Spooky. Oh yeah. It's spooky.
Yeah.
We got the, you can't see it.
Until next spooky season, let's spin the wheel.
Spooky.
What's next?
Spooky wheel.
It's gotta be mine, right?
No.
Watch it not be mine.
It's not.
Oh, it's just an arrow. What's it pointing to?
Goes all the way into. Oh, it is yours.
Oh, it is mine!
This is not a love story.
Any guesses what it is?
I know what it is.
You guys know what it is.
I know what it is.
Mason, you want to just tell the audience?
It's 500 Days of Summer.
It's 500
It
Days of
is
Summer.
500 Days of Summer.
If
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken, it's the first line
Yeah.
in 500 Days of Summer.
It
Correct?
should be, right?
I think so.
One of the first narrated
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
You're forcing me to watch this movie.
Jill's finally gonna watch this movie.
Yeah, Nathan's never seen it.
If
Wait, raise your hand if you've never seen this movie.
It's just a middle, right?
Just these
What?
two? Okay. Why do I live with them?
What
Why don't
movie
you live
were
with
we
me and
comparing
Mason?
it to?
Or whatever. Yeah.
What movie were we comparing this to the
We
other
were
day?
comparing it to the.
Oh, you're comparing it to one of my movies.
No, it was
Somebody
Oh,
Great.
Somebody
yeah.
Great.
Someone
Yeah,
Great.
whatever her.
Yeah.
Keep that one in mind.
And we will have a discussion about that
Oh, yeah.
after we watch 500 Days of
So I
Summer.
can tell you how much of
Because they're
not,
very
not
different.
the same movie they are.
Yeah, they're super
You better
different.
wear some
We'll
some
see.
extra armor. I'm just
it's
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Ooh, which
similar-ish.
one?
Yes,
Jill.
Jill.
Uh-huh.
They're not the same movie. I assume I've never seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've
I was
never
gonna say you
seen
keep
it.
saying that you haven't seen it. You have no reference around what it is, but yeah. So make sure to tune in next time for 500 Days of Summer, right out of spooky season, and which is fitting. We're watching that movie during winter. By the time we're kind of
Yeah,
really
It'll
into
be
it.
right out in time for Valentine's Day.
That's true.
Oh,
it will
yeah.
be. That'll be a good
Yeah.
festive one.
Oh yeah.
If you like the content we're doing, let us know in the comments below. What did you think? Did you think this was a horror movie? Did you think that Monstro was actually Mussolini as a symbolism thing? What does that make the Blue Fairy? More thoughts on that later. If you like the content we're doing, make sure to give us a big thumbs up. And if you want to know when the next one drops, make sure to hit the bell, or in this case, the Jill. And you'll just know right away when we put a video out. But if you really...
It'll just drop right into your lap.
Yep, if you really, really want to support the channel, hit that sub button, man. Get us to 420, because, just like the state of minds that people were in when they were making this film, we're trying to have a good time.
They couldn't have gotten by without it
Yeah.
back then.
Not a bit.
Subscribe so we can be a real boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can be a real channel.
Mm,
Anyways, until then, we will see you with 500 Days of Summer. Bye, guys!
I'm excited.
We did it.
We
We
did
did
it.
it.
Good. Do you like that movie?